Cheers! Happy
Cheers!
Wednesday.
Woo. Happy Wine Wednesday, Mira Boucher. How are you doing?
I'm doing better now.
You're doing
Great.
better now because you're having a sip of wine, eh?
Yeah,
You're having a sip of good wine, I guess.
I sure am.
This
I'm having
is
a sip of what we're discovering this week, which is what?
it's
Domaine de
Nova
Grand
Scotia.
Pré.
Yeah, it's Nova Scotia week for the first time ever. So Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, all of you across the country, this is the premiere. This is the first time ever we're getting here into Carl's happy wine Wednesday wine happy hour, and we are talking Nova Scotia. It was kind of our dream when we started Carl's Wine Club, right? We wanted to go all over the country and starting to feature small producer. That was the whole goal. Small producer from here. We're even now in Romania, so come on, like now, like we're crossing borders. No, but the whole goal was to bring a community together and feature wine lovers from all the country. And this week we have, for the first time ever, a feature from Nova Scotia, Annapolis Valley. Here we are. We're featuring Domaine de Grand Pré from the Stutz family, and I think in something like 10 minutes time, we're gonna be live with the winemaker, Jürg Stutz. So we're gonna talk about their family affair, how they built the domain, how they built I think they have a little hotel on site, a restaurant, the whole 9 yards, and it's all family oriented. So it's gonna be a pretty cool conversation. Wow, look at that.
Yeah,
look at that.
That's the winery, and they've got a few buildings there, the inn, the restaurant, the tasting room. Looks like there's a few houses, so I'm curious if the family lives on site. I wouldn't be surprised. This is the family. So Hans Peter in the middle with his wife, and then Beatrice and Cecilia are the two ladies.
Yeah.
And Jörg is one of the two.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I love these kind of stories. So I'm gonna go all in. Like I have so many questions for Jörg, so I can't wait to have him on. So yeah, first time ever. Wines from Nova Scotia. They are now in feature at Carl's Wine Club this whole week. We're featuring 6 wines. We have Ortega, we have Riesling, we have L'Acadie Blanc, and we have also, what's the other one?
The Milo? The Milo?
Oh, the Tidal Bay. So this is the 4 white. The Tidal Bay. I can't forget Tidal Bay. And as per the red, we have the Milo and the Castel.
Right.
So some of them are hybrid, some of them are vinifera, some of them are cross between vinifera. So to make it a little bit more hardy type of grape for the cold climate of Nova Scotia. Tidal Bay is a really, really, really cool story. And I'm going to pick Jörg's brain about the whole Tidal Bay appellation, the whole Tidal Bay wine, because every winery in Nova Scotia, there's pretty strict rules to call your wine a Tidal Bay wine. But Domaine de Grand Pré and Hans Peter was at the forefront of that movement to bring together a regional wine called the Tidal Bay. So it's going to be
cool. It's their appellation wine.
Absolutely. So Annapolis Valley, there's around 20 wineries in Annapolis Valley. Wolfville has been the center of Annapolis Valley. One of the big players in there is Benjamin Bridge. Benjamin Bridge has been a international known winery. So known for their sparkling, but also doing some other cool stuff. But this week, it's such a privilege. We've been talking with Hans Peter. I think we've been in contact with him early in the year, like it was in January or February, through a connection again with Marcel Morgenstern, good friend of the show, good friend of the family. Marcel introduced us to Hans Peter, and here we are here in June featuring Nova Scotia wine. And this is the perfect timing to feature Nova Scotia for a couple of reasons. once, because obviously they're focusing on white wine production. So we have the chance to feature 4 whites in our pack this week. These are summer wine. I've mentioned it a couple times. This is sunshine in a glass, and there's like that beautiful bright minerality you can see in all and every wines. And also the 2 reds. The reds are like just perfect for barbecue. So if you're looking to fill your wine fridge for the summer, and you're looking for something pretty cool to pull out of the wine fridge when you have people over, that's always a wine from Nova Scotia. So it's always a good wow effect when you pull a wine from Nova Scotia out of the wine fridge. So yeah, go ahead, get $111. Come on, $111 for six bottles. Pretty darn cool, and the wines are darn delicious. If you like white wine, and it's not like the reds are not too shabby at all either. Like there's a 90+ point here with the Merlot.
Really
it's absolutely delicious.
Did you pour me the Merlot? It's nice.
I sure did. You have a very good nose, Mira Boucher. Yeah. So like it's like
getting better. Since we started 2 years ago, I couldn't tell a Chardonnay from a Sauv Blanc, and now I can tell a Merlot from anything else. So there you go.
I guess so, eh? I guess so. So see, Mike Laplante is in the house. Mike, the average wine enthusiast, who just coming back from an epic trip to Sicily. So Mike, we're going to see you in 2 weeks because Carl's Wine Club is packing pretty soon to head out to Niagara. Mike has booked his night with us.
And the wine touring. He's touring with us too. So this is awesome.
Is he touring with us too?
Yes. And I wanted to say hi to Yannick and Jeanette, who just finished touring with us. In fact, if you squint and you look closely, Yannick, you'll see yourself in this one.
Yeah. So before we talk Nova Scotia and before we talk the whole thing with Jürg, it's worth it. I want to recap a little bit of what happened last week around here. Mira, I don't know if you would agree with me, but we had a pretty special night last Friday night.
We sure did. I still want to do a little video clip for those who couldn't make it because it was epic. Like we had a real hog roast on a spit. We were in the grapevines, which we realized after that it's very hard to have people walking in and out of those rows because the grapevines are like 10 feet, 8 to 10 feet apart. But it still made for a really fun night. I think it made it even better because you knew once you're seated, it's going to be pretty hard to get out. It's like a theater or something. So I loved it.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. So just to recap for our people, we had our first BC members reunion. It was held at the Carl's Wine Club members wine at the Members' Choice Award, the BC favorite winery for the members, Black Market Wine Company. And we had a total of 52 people at the event. Oh, Rob's in the house. So Rob, the owner and winemaker of Black Market, is just tuning in. So yes, it was such a fun night. Just recapping a little bit of the week last week. So yeah, so we had 52 people total sit in the vineyard. Obviously, we had to rent a tent because Mother Nature did not necessarily cooperate. It was the forecast was crap all week, and obviously Friday came. We were setting up. Wow, we have a good crew here tuning in.
Still recovering.
So and right at 3:00, we were an hour away from the vertical tasting. Rob opened 6 vintages of the Syndicate and his flagship wine, and we were doing a library vertical tasting with 20 members, and the deluge, an absolute downpour, absolutely devastated the whole freaking setup an hour prior. And there was flooding in the winery. It was flooding in the vineyard. It blew up half of the setup in the tent. Anyway, it was an absolute nightmare. I almost had a mental breakdown at that point. And
It was just like you couldn't do anything else but laugh and go with it. I don't know. We all handled it pretty well, I thought.
Yeah, and yeah, 4 o'clock hit, and we tasted 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19 of the black market, the syndicate. And it was epic. There was 18 people with us. We had the chance to host Lou Puglisi, Marcel Morgenstern, and Fred DiProfrio, winemaker at this is Fred and Rob here, right in the vineyard at Conviction Ridge Vineyard at Black Market in Killeen. So we did that outstanding library tasting, and this is the picture of our 52 guests in the vineyard under the tent. We did a little guided tasting during dinner where we tasted some of the black market wine. Obviously, we had 5 outstanding black market wine, and maybe Marcel put a couple bottles of the Bellaterra wine in his back pocket. But what an outstanding experience. The hog roast, the pig was absolutely perfectly cooked, where chef roasted that baby pig for, I would say, probably 8 hours all day long. That pig was on the spit all day. And yeah, with the great help of Karen Chapman, Jan, her husband, and like some people around, everyone helped a lot. And Rob and Michelle at Black Market did an amazing job. And 6 o'clock hit, we have all of our guests arrive, and it was just I would say it was a magic evening, very extremely special. I've been working in the hospitality for 25 years, and it's probably one of the top nights that I ever had to experience. The rain stopped around 6:30, 6:45. The clouds settled in the valley with the sunshine. It was it was really special.
Yeah. Here I want to do a quick little video at some point of all that we experienced those few days. They say no one noticed it was pouring down rain. That's right? We were just having fun under that big tent.
I'm telling you, I noticed my feet get soaked wet at 2:45, and I spent like 8 hours with. Anyway, I didn't notice, but it was so special. I would say around 8 o'clock when the clouds settled in the valley and the wind stopped. It was just so magic.
Yeah, look at this.
2 hour in the smoker. Start cooking the chicken at 12.
Yeah, I got you when you were putting them in. Holy cow.
And yeah, we got the veggie potato bread.
Amazing. Yeah, my mouth's still watering. That chicken was my favorite.
The smoked chicken was really good. I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah,
the passion for Canadian wine around the table was unbelievable. It was just unique, like to being sitting there, with all of these Canadian wine lovers, and we had Fred doing some explaining the traditional method Chardonnay, and like Rob talking about Bacchus, and I don't know, it was just really special.
Yeah, and so Marcel's saying the passion for Canadian wines are at the table. I think one of the cool things that's happened over the pandemic, as we've all discovered these wineries together more and more, is we have like a troupe now of Canadian wine lovers. Like I feel like a bit of a fandom for Canadian wine. And it's really cool to witness. Let's do it again, Marcel. Yeah. As soon as we were done that event, we're like, okay, we won't do that again for a long time. We're like, no.
That's one thing. That's one thing that I said at 9 o'clock. I'm never doing that again. Never. And I was walking that out like, no. I was like, no, I'm done. And now we're back at it because we're fitting up our Niagara party. Is going to be held at Bellaterra Vineyard on June 24th. And like we've been debriefing almost every day this week with Marcel. We're at 55 people already booked. And guess what? Yes, we are doing it again. Yes, we are doing it again, and we are so freaking excited to do it.
Totally, totally. It's going to be epic and amazing.
It's gonna
I
be
think
epic
Jörg
and amazing.
is just starting to join us from Nova Scotia. So that's very exciting. I see he's not quite connected yet, but he will be in a couple minutes.
Then
Um,
before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the day before the what we've done,
yes.
what we did last week before the party at Black Market on the Thursday. We had members who arrived from all over Western Canada in the Okanagan, and we went touring Carl and Mira style.
Totally.
Carl and Mira style. It was absolutely epic. We did 4 wineries. We visited it with Time Winery, with Moraine.
We started off at Time.
Now it's time. Like we did the tasting in the barrel room. Yeah, because that's the way we roll, right? We just don't do normal tasting in the tasting room. We don't do that. Especially when we tour with our members. Second, we went to Moraine. And Amber Pratt, the winemaker, didn't take like 15, 20 minutes. She took 2.5 hours of her time to do a full, like 7 wines presentation. Took us on the tour to the cellar, to the barrel room, to the vineyard, to the whole, and she had lunch with us. So again, and not the typical Joe wine tour. So that was our second stop. After that, we went to Red Rooster, where the very colorful Burke, a long time employee, an absolute legend of the Naramata bench, gave us a crazy presentation on Red Rooster wine. One of the most passionate guy that I know. And you know, when you do a wine tasting and the guy who pours the wine pours you like 4 ounces of every single pour, and it's like, no, put your nose in there and smell it and experience it. So it was unique. And one of the highlights of our week was the vineyard walk with Gavin Miller, the owner winemaker at Upper Bench Winery. We spent over an hour walking the vineyard with Gavin and the members, with unique perspective and unique explanation and answers about grafting vines and what's the slope do and the terroir of the Naramata bench. So yeah, it was very, very unique, and we ended that with a cheese and wine tasting.
Yeah, I gotta mention, I fell in love with their cheese. I knew they make cheese, you know, and you kind of just take it for granted. And then we had it, and they paired it so well with the wines too, and it was so good. I ended up buying a lot of cheese.
Well, I asked Marcel. Marcel bought half of the cheesery. And he received his order. He received his order like 24. Like they flew the wine to his house like in 24 hours. Daryl's in the house, and Daryl's a member at Upper Bench as well. So he's a wine club member there. So you know what I'm talking about. One of the best experiences ever. So yeah. Now we have. Oh, Jorge is not. Is he gone or is he coming back?
I think he's having trouble connecting. So we'll.
That's okay. We have a lot to talk about. So yeah. So after Upper Bench, that really special and unique time we had with Gavin and their wines. Again, their wines are so darn good. We went back to Time and we had a concert at Time. So yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. So now we're planning the same thing with Ontario. We had so the dinner on the 24th, the big party at Bellaterra. We have already, I think it's 24 people who have registered for the vertical tasting. So the pre-party, the VIP.
That part is sold out, the VIP vertical.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I didn't tell you everything, but I think that we're going to have an extra 10 spot that we're going to release tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe. That would be awesome. Yeah.
So
I think what we'll do is whoever registers for a regular spot, go ahead and register for a regular spot. And if we can open up a few more of the VIP spots, we will let you know first, whoever's registered. And it's the early bird for the dinner and the party is $69.95.
Dirt cheap. Dirt cheap.
Nowadays, yes.
Yes, but nowadays $69, I can barely go buy a chicken at the grocery store with the bag of potatoes, for God's sake. And
it's true. It's the same price as the gas to get there.
yeah, exactly. So $69.99 for the.
And if we can open up some more spots for the VIP vertical, that starts a couple hours earlier, and it is an extra $50, but you will get to taste some incredible wines from their library, maybe some tank samples, sit with the winemaker for a couple hours. It's going to be epic.
And also the vineyard walk with the owner. That's pretty special too.
Oh no, Cedric, I need that.
Oh, there you go. Deadpool. There you go.
Yeah, Deadpool tried to steal my phone. Do you want
Anyway, so now, and the day before the 24th, so on the 23rd, we're organizing the tour, the Niagara Tour, where we're going to go visit 13th Street Winery with special walk with special presentation by Jean-Pierre Collat. Also, after that, we're going to go to Vineland Estate with a very special tour with the legend of Niagara, Brian Schmid. After that, we're gonna head down to Sue-Ann staff when she have some pretty cool stuff for us at Sue-Ann, and we're gonna end the tour at Westcott Winery before heading out to a pretty cool spot at Hillfire Bubble Shop. So we have a pretty cool day in the making for the 23rd. So I think that Jürg is in the house and Jürg is ready to go. I don't know, Mira, are we all set?
Yeah, I was just telling Daryl that I'm sorry we were sold out, and that we'll open up a few more spots because I think they can squeeze a few more people into that tasting room. So it'll be fab. So yes, Jürg is joining us from Nova Scotia. It is late where he is, so we're not going to go late and make him stay up even later than he probably normally does. Just so you guys know, Annapolis Valley, where he's tuning in from, is that red section there, as far as I understand. And I cannot wait to hear more. So Jürg, great to meet you.
Hello.
Good evening, Jürg. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. How are you guys?
I'm doing great. Cheers. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers. Let me pour a glass of wine here.
There you go. I think it's probably well deserved. It's late on your side of the country right now. It's 9 o'clock, right?
Cheers. That's right. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers to you. So there's so many things I want to ask. So let's start right away. So you guys have a beautiful story behind the domain. Can you tell us a little bit more how the Stutz family ended up in Nova Scotia, especially in Annapolis Valley?
Did you say Scott's family?
Well,
how do you pronounce it?
No, we're Swiss. I don't know what. I'm not sure.
Stutz or Stutz?
Oh, Stutz?
Stutz family. Okay, I thought.
Stutz, there you go. So, are you French Swiss or more German Swiss?
Yeah, we're from the German part of Switzerland. That's
the
right.
German part of Switzerland. So we'll see the Stutz family. There you go. So first, I apologize is an effect here. My apologize.
No, all good. All good.
Yeah, I'm from I'm have the wrong accent, right? I have the French accent, so.
All good. No, I thought you said Scott family, but all
no,
good.
No.
Anyway, our family, we took over in 1994, and as a matter of fact, it is the oldest farm winery in Atlantic Canada. It originated in the late 70s with a professor from California by the name of Roger Dial. So he was kind of the pioneer for the Nova Scotia wine industry in the late 70s. And then he had the winery for many years. And then again, there was an owner in between, but our family took over in 1994. And the first few years, we replanted the vineyards. We did a lot of work, on the buildings, inside, outside, a lot of renovations. We added the restaurant, the fine dining restaurant as well. And then we had our grand opening in June of 2000. And we started off with just a bunch of wines. We had like 6 products when we originally opened the doors. Nowadays, we have more than 20 different products from, sparklings, whites, rosé, reds, ice wine, a couple different apple products as well, and everything, and the fortified wine as well. So we do all kinds of
Really?
different products.
Well, that's pretty cool. And so you are the winemaker at the property. Were you trained in Europe? Did you? How is the progression of your winemaking career?
Right. Yes. Exactly. I actually went back to school to learn about winemaking and grape growing. Grad in Switzerland in Wädenswil. Graduated in 1999 and came and I went back to school because of the winery here in Nova Scotia. Like it was not, in our family whatsoever before that. So I'm first generation winemaker. However, it is a family run business. My dad was involved up to like a couple of years ago. He's retired now. He turned 75 this year. And my wife Cecilia, she's the tasting room manager. My sister Beatrice and Jason, my brother-in-law, they're managing. Oh, there we go. They're managing the restaurant, and we also just added an inn last year with 6 units that we're renting, that are available. Yeah, it's a nice shot of the property there. The tasting room in the front, the inn to the right, and the restaurant and the outside patio in the back there. And then, of course, there's the vineyard in the back as well. And we are a little bit up on a hill. And actually, at the far end of the vineyard, you can see the beautiful Bay of Fundy. Yeah, you can see it there in the far back is the Bay of Fundy with the highest tides in the world. And that's where the name Grand Pré stands for Grand Prairie, Grand Meadow. That's where the name comes from. And it's rich with history. There's also a National Historic Park just down the road. The landscape of Grand Pré is recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. I think we are celebrating 10 years since the recognition. And so, yeah, there's lots going on in Grand Pré and the area, lots of history. And of course, the Acadians were the first settlers, French settlers in our area. And we're celebrating, our history every day almost. So, yeah, lots going on.
Jörg, you mentioned the Bay Fondy, and Mira and I all week last week when we were getting ready for that feature, we were so excited because you guys are the first ever. Like since we started over 2 years ago, you're the first winery of Nova Scotia that we have the privilege to feature. And we were reading about fun fact, and we tried to research a little bit more. And I was kind of obsessed a little bit by the Tidal Bay appellation. Like I was trying to read a little bit more information. So I heard that Hans Peter, your dad, was at the forefront of the whole movement of planning and putting together that regional appellation of Tidal Bay.
Right. Like my dad, he's kind of the ideas guy. So he brings, a lot of ideas and still does. And all along, he pushes everyone. And he just brings a lot of ideas and, he suggestions what we could do. And Tidal Bay is, I think, certainly one of them. Like he always wanted to create an appellation wine or a signature style for Nova Scotia. And that was probably first discussed, 12, 13 years ago in the Winery Association. And then it got discussed, and over the course of the discussions, it was decided that, we should showcase what we can do best here in our climate in Nova Scotia. And and here it is. It's the Tidal Bay. It's our appellation wine. It's the signature style of Nova Scotia. It's what we know we can do best here in our climate. And it has the typical crisp acidity that we are all looking for, a little touch of sweetness to balance the acidity, but it's just that nice crispy minerality, the aromatic component that we all love about Nova Scotia wines. And
I think you mentioned something critical here, and it's something that I tasted, especially in the 4 whites we have in feature this week, and it's the salinity. That nice salty minerality, almost like seashell wise. Like it's not predominant, but it's so well integrated in each and every white. Can you explain a little bit where?
Oops.
if you think, sorry, we're back. If you think
Yes.
a little bit, it makes sense for where you guys are located. But how is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how Carl managed to get cut off there.
Mira, we got disconnected. Oh, you're back.
I'm gonna kick you
You can
out.
still hear me, okay?
Yeah, you still there?
Yes.
You know, Carl, I'm gonna kick you out. You can come back, okay?
So yeah, just talking about our styles and our climates, like no doubt, like we are still in a cool climate here in Nova Scotia, although thanks to climate change, like it has changed a lot since we first came here in the mid-90s. But still, overall, we are definitely considered a cool climate, which has a lot of advantages, some disadvantages for sure, but a lot of advantages as well. And first and foremost, it's just the style of wines that we can produce here in our climate that other regions just can't do, because they're either too warm or they're different grape varieties and you name it, right? So that's certainly our biggest advantage is the cool climate, the moderate climate. Our grapes ripen in a very slow manner over the course of the growing season into the fall. Very often we do get the Indian summers where we have nice warm temperatures throughout the September and October, and that just helps develop the flavors in the varieties very slowly, and of course it also retains the acidity because it's not too warm. Like basically what happens towards the end of the growing or the ripening season is the sugar concentration keeps going up, the acidity levels are starting to come down, but because of the moderate climate, it happens very slowly. And then anyway, we have to keep a very close eye on that, just to keep it in the right balance that we want. And you're certainly right. You can find that across all our products, especially the whites like Tidal Bay, the Rieslings, the Lac de Blanc. Like it's so, I love it. Like, a lot of people are not really used to this kind of style, but I've certainly come to love it, and I like a little bit of acidity, a little bit of bite to it, the crispiness, the freshness.
And there's such a great blend, such a great mix. And I like, you see me, I'm just licking my lips, right? Because that's where I find that little saltiness, a little bit on my top teeth here. Yes. It's just a unique style, but also it's not. I often think that, some winemaker or some house will go a little too far in terms of novelty. And I see that a lot in natural wine. And these are unique, but sometimes a little too unique, right? You get too far in the spectrum, and I got it, then I'd say, oh, it's weird. Like, like it's just too much, and it's plain weird. Here we're having, these are classic wines. There's nothing off the spectrum who makes you think, is it oxidized? Is it is there something wrong? No, these are classic wines made with different grape varietal which suit the terroir perfectly, and you have a nice progression. Like the wines are all very different. From the Tidal Bay, which has a tad of sweetness, and also one thing was very important is the acidity. Even if you have a tad of sweetness, the acidity balanced the sweetness so well, so it's nothing comes out candy sweet. So Tidal Bay is one example, but when you go with the let's say take the example of the Ortega, like I put in my tasting notes, it's sunshine in the glass. There's a big, beautiful, rich texture in that wine, and we have a very good friend here who grows Bacchus in the Okanagan. And when I tasted that, I'm like, oh my God, I feels like if I'm drinking Bacchus. Okay. So I went back to Wikipedia, and Wikipedia is telling me that they have one of the same father, one of the two grapes originally. Well, it's Müller-Thurgau. So I'm like, here you go. And so one, you switch Sylvaner for
I think there is some
Sigaribi.
The Sigaribi. Thank you, Mira. And we end up with very similar wines. So, but the texture of the Ortega, bold and creamy. And one thing with I noticed, it's like it's not a very high acidity wine, but when you get from your terroir, well, you get an extra push of acidity. So these wines are so appealing. So how many acres do you have at the winery?
We have 50 acres ourselves, 3 different locations, and then we do purchase grapes from contract growers as well. However, all our products are 100% Nova Scotia, from Nova Scotia grown grapes. So yeah, either our own vineyards or from contract growers, yes. And for instance, the Ortega is from John Warner. He's one of our growers, and he does an awesome job. We do have some other varieties from him as well that we don't grow ourselves. For instance, the Castel, and then also some of his grapes are used in the Tidal Bay blend. Whereas other varieties we have, only from our estate vineyards and so on. But yes.
Talking about the estate, which grapes are you focusing the most as a grape grower? Which one would you say is the signature grape of Domaine de Grand Pré?
I would say that our workhorse certainly is the L'Acadie Blanc. And again, L'Acadie Blanc, very unique to Nova Scotia. It was actually the first owner, Roger Dial, who named this variety in honor of the Acadians. And it's just a perfect variety for our climate. It produces good yields year after year, very winter hardy. It ripens in the short growing season that we have, and so that's certainly our workhorse. Unfortunately, we still have this variety L'Acadie Blanc, but other than that, we use it in a lot of the blends as well, from sparkling wines to the Tidal Bay, and then we have a couple other products that we use the L'Acadie Blanc as well. But I have to say, talking about the varieties, it certainly changed a lot over the last 2 decades. Give you an example, when we first came here in the mid-90s, we did try to grow some Pinot Noir and Chardonnay varieties like that, and I think it was just too early, or way too early. So we never got them ripe in a way that we wanted to. So yeah, we pulled them out within a few years. We pulled them out, replanted them with mainly hybrid varieties. Interestingly enough, what we're planting these days is again not L'Acadie Blanc, but Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Riesling, those kind of varieties. And it certainly has to do with the climate change, and different techniques as well to protect the vines over the winter months, over the cold winter temperatures. And but yeah, so there is a lot has changed when it comes to the grape varieties. So where it was originally, it was mainly hybrid varieties like L'Acadie Blanc, Seyva Blanc, New York Muscat, Leo Mio, Marshall Foch, things like that. It's more and more the traditional varieties like Pinot, Chardonnay, Riesling, Ortega.
Have you took notice of what's going on a little bit in Prince Edward County? Because Prince Edward County is really known for an extremely cold climate. So
Right.
Did you guys like when you saw the emergence of Chardonnay in Prince Edward County, is it not a sign that you say, oh, wait a minute, if these guys can do that, let's give it another try here?
Right. Yeah, and I mean there's so much going on, with the research when it comes to how the best way of growing certain varieties here in our climates, and also there is still a lot of new varieties coming out every year. One, for instance, is the Marquette, which is not very well known, but again, it's very winter hardy. Minus 30, minus 35 degrees Celsius is no problem whatsoever, and it has a little bit of Pinot in its parentage. So there is, still a lot of new varieties coming out that are really ideal for our climate here in Nova Scotia, and I don't think that will never end, or ever end, that we have new varieties coming out, and there will always be, trial and errors with new varieties for sure.
Absolutely. And you know what, like with L'Acadie Blanc, first when I tasted the 6 wines and I tasted them all, Riesling stood out to me. The Riesling came out like 92 points on my list. It was like an absolute beauty. There was like something fresh in there, where that 17 gram of residual sugar was just absolutely swallowed by the high acidity, makes it well balanced, just a little slight petroleum, but that citrus peel at the end, blended with that salty minerality, makes it very unique. So that Riesling was an absolute eye-opener to me, and that's why I was like, okay, I want to know more about these guys. This is really darn cool, because I love Riesling. There's so many different styles, and when that salty minerality came at the end, I'm like, okay, I'm sold. I want more of that. So do you guys grow your own Rieslings on the property?
Yes, we have about 5 acres of Riesling ourselves, and the plants would be about 12, 13 years old now, and so that's one of the varieties that was added later, and it does really well. And same as you, like I like Rieslings. I like it's one of my favorite varieties for sure.
Yeah.
And we do a sparkling wine as well, 100% Riesling traditional method sparkling wine. And this year we're going to launch an ice wine as well with the Riesling grapes. So we have the table, a still wine, sparkling wine, and an ice wine with the Riesling grapes.
So is it okay to say that Riesling is becoming a flagship grapes for Domaine Grand Pré?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
One thing that that's my second favorite, as much as I really enjoyed the title Bay, but my second favorite it was l'Acadie Blanc. I'm very, very passionate about Chardonnay. I always been in the worldwide search of Chardonnay. It can be Patagonia, it can be Hunter Valley, and it's like everywhere in the world. I always look for Chardonnay. When I tasted l'Acadie Blanc, I look at Mira and I said, you know what? You would have told me it was a Chardonnay. I would not argue with you. There's a little bit Chardonnay-like in terms of texture, in terms of maybe a slight barrel, like the slight toastiness, a little bit of nutty almond in there. So clearly not a Chardonnay, but for people who wonder what l'Acadie Blanc can taste, I would say, just close your eyes, tell yourself it's a Chardonnay, and you're pretty darn close.
No, you're right on it. Yes, absolutely, I agree. And actually, years ago, we did have an oak-aged l'Acadie Blanc as well. And of course, even now we still get asked all the time, like, do you have a Chardonnay? Like the tourists that come into the winery and through our doors, they ask for obviously what they know, right? Like, and we do grow a lot of varieties that people are not very familiar with, so they would ask for a Chardonnay or what's close to a Chardonnay. And that absolutely, you're right.
I don't think that no one goes to a winery and asks, opening the door, do you have any Castel here?
Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, overall, it's certainly a challenge, but on the other hand, it's also an advantage. Like, it gives someone a chance to really try new varieties, like the l'Acadie Blanc. Lots of people are not familiar with l'Acadie Blanc at all. Castel, and even the Leo Mio, Marshall Foch. Actually, we don't do a Marshall Foch anymore, but we still have the Leo Mio oak-aged 24 months in American oaks. And so we still have, a lot of varieties that people are not familiar with, but once they try it, they understand our background and where we come from, then they certainly like the products.
I have to tip my hat to you guys and your team in the cellar, because to keep a 2017 Milo, it needs patience. When I tasted that wine, I was like, okay, this is priming. This wine is beautiful now. You guys have hold on to it just the perfect time, and you're releasing it in its prime. It is really cool, and this is such a great barbecue wine. Not overpowering in tannin, nice fruit, a slight natural smokiness in there. This is just a perfect wine for barbecue. And with the summer just around the corner, or like the summer right here, this is like, to me, it's so well suited for the grill.
Awesome. Yeah, no, you're right. And I find with these, especially on the red wine side, I find that they do need a little bit more time. Like they need an extra year or two to reach that ripeness. Like they can be quite green, and I guess that's the downside of a cool climate. Like it's creating a consistently good red wine year after year is very very challenging in a cool climate. So we do need varieties that ripen early, and again, not a lot of people are familiar with these, but Leo Mio is certainly a good example. But overall, I think they just need a little bit more time, and usually we try not to release them right away or like within a year. So we usually try to give them a couple more years, extra years in oak and whatnot. So yes.
So you could tell I don't know a whole lot about wine, but my scale is, do I like it or not, and how many glasses do I want, and also I keep an eye on how quickly I drink a glass. And holy cow, this was gone a while ago. That's your Milo. I was super impressed the second I tasted that, and so was Carl. And then I treated Carl like a Saint Bernard looking for, someone under an avalanche. And I said, what's the price? Because he's always so good at guessing the price. And I forget what you said, but it was way above the price. I think that this wine is what? 18?
But when she tasted me blind taste, she blind tasted me, and I said this wine's probably around the $25-26 because I like the richness, I like the depth, I like the complexity. I was like, okay, this is not a $17-18 wine. This is probably more on the medium scale. No, she started laughing. She's like, it's under $20. I'm like, are you joking me?
Yeah, so we're super impressed. Now we have a couple quick questions. Mike is just wondering about the Foch. Was it not growable, or was there some other reason to take it out?
No, it does really well here in Nova Scotia, but we find it's not everyone's favorite. So okay. I think there is some nicer varieties, like a Milo. I prefer the Leo Milo. It's actually, I think, from the same family as the Marshall Foch, or very, very close anyway. And then again, we shifted a little bit more towards the Pinot. So that's another red that we planted. Marquette. We have a little bit of Baco Noir as well. So I think those are more so the varieties that people do prefer. We still grow some Marshall Foch, but we use it in a blend. But it does really well here in Nova Scotia, no doubt.
That's good to know. That's good to know.
And you know what? When something doesn't sell as good as it can be, it doesn't do any good for a business. Piling up cases in the corner of a warehouse,
exactly.
And some grapes, the name it's so hard to get people to try them and just get it into people's hand. And at some point, you're like, okay, let's move on because we can sell it.
Absolutely. No, I 100% agree. And I think that's where really the idea of the Tidal Bay came from as well. Like, with the Tidal Bay having an appellation wine, like you can put in there whatever you want. You can't. Obviously, the appellation comes with a whole set of rules that everyone has to follow, including the varieties that can be used. But I guess my point is, the varieties that lots of people are not familiar with, you can kind of cover it up with a Tidal Bay label, right? So you can create a beautiful wine. People don't necessarily need to know the varieties that are in there, but you can promote it and market it as a Tidal Bay. And especially if you have the whole industry behind it, and you have 14 or 15 different Tidal Bays from the 20-some wineries that are here in Nova Scotia, you can put some effort behind it, and that's the beauty of an appellation wine. Absolutely.
It's a really good point. Dave has a great question. We'll come to you in a second, Dave. Mike's just mentioning Summerhill does a great Marshall Foch. They're out here in Kelowna. Maybe they need to change the name. I just wanted to mention about, now that we're talking about names, Carl used to work at a very high-end restaurants, working with wines. And Carl, one of the things you told me was, what was the most popular wine?
Well, because based in Calgary, and the French wine, is very hard to sell French wine, especially Burgundy, because the names of, like, you can like Montrachet, and like when it's time for business meeting, businessmen don't want to pronounce a long French name and look stupid in front of their guests. So I had Chateau Palmer. Chateau Palmer was one of the top third growth, and Chateau Palmer was the biggest seller because that was the easiest for the Anglophone to pronounce. So here you go. You put the Bordeaux where they can pronounce it. And so in terms of a name, that's one of the way to be able to sell some Bordeaux is to put the one with an English name.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. So Dave has a good question here,
Dave
talking about the kind of variety, the grape varietal that you're planning of blending for ice wine, and why. What kind of variety do you plan to do for your ice wine, and why do you choose these varieties?
Well, we always do a Vidal ice wine. It's again one of the varieties that are probably used across the country for ice wine, Ontario in particular as well, and very late ripening. And again, it certainly retains the acidity nicely as well. Other than the Vidal ice wine, we did a bunch of different ice wines as well. We did some Riesling ice wines in the past, the Muscat ice wine, Ortega actually we used for an ice wine. And you know, like with the ice wines, obviously everything is so much concentrated. Like all the flavors are so concentrated. So having a Muscat or an Ortega ice wine, it's just beautiful. And I think that's what we are looking for in an ice wine. Like we try different things, but the bulk volume certainly is still the Vidal ice wine.
And for your part of the country, I believe that it's probably every year that you guys are able to produce ice wine. You don't have the problem to get at the minimum temperature required for ice wine.
Exactly. Yes, and typically it happens already in December, at one point in December. But no later than, first week, second week of January. So it's always cold enough for sure.
And so for people who are going to travel your way this summer, what can they expect of Annapolis Valley? I mean, like, if you guys get really busy during the summer, do they need reservation at the tasting room? Is it because if they used to the Okanagan or Niagara, because when Saturday or Sunday hit during July, if you don't have a reservation at the tasting room, it can be pretty tricky to get in. So how are you guys are busy during the summer?
Yeah, no, that's a good point, and it certainly does get very busy in the summer months too. We do have a lot of bus tours as well, and I shouldn't say unfortunately, but unfortunately, there are a lot of bus tours on the weekends as well. So I would almost recommend maybe come early in the week, like Monday through Wednesday, Thursday kind of thing. It's not required to have a reservation for the tasting room at that point. However, if you want to come to the restaurant, it's always recommended to make a reservation in the restaurant. But yeah, it is getting busy, and we have a full tasting room, a tasting menu, different offerings, and a restaurant. We have an inn on site as well, and
so six unit at the inn, right?
Yes.
And you guys are sold out for July, August, or you guys still have some room?
We still have room. No, we still have room.
And how many seats do you have at the restaurant?
We can seat about 70 people outside and about 40 people inside. And again, just make reservations if you want to come, and if you don't want to get disappointed. And other than that, like it's just a beautiful area. Like we love it here a lot in the Annapolis Valley. It's so laid back. It's great people, nice people. They're all so friendly and open and welcoming, and it's just a great area. There's lots to do, lots to see and visit, and lots of wineries, cideries, some microbreweries, lots of restaurants, and it's a nice place to be for sure.
And how about other wineries? Who's your neighbor? So for people who got to go travel Annapolis and they really want to stop by Domaine de Grand Pré, who can they expect nearby to make their second appointment?
Yeah, like within a 10-minute drive, 5-10-minute drive, there is at least a dozen wineries. Like there is a Luckett Vineyards. There is the Gaspro Valley is very close by to where we are. It's only 5-minute drive from us. It's the Gaspro Valley. So we have Lacket Vineyards, Lackady Vineyards, Lacket and Lackady, and Gaspro and Benjamin Bridge. They're really well known for their sparkling wines as well.
Absolutely.
And then we have Lightfoot and Wolfville. They're very close by, just a 3-minute drive from us. There is Mercator. There is Planters Ridge. There's the winery on Church Street. There is Blomidon. There is a whole bunch of wineries just, within 5-10 minutes from where we are. And then as you want to drive a little bit further, they're actually spread throughout the province pretty much. There's some along the South Shore. There is some closer to Digby in the Bear River area, and then up in Malagash, and the Avondale Sky Winery is about 20 minutes drive from us. So there is lots of great places to visit for sure.
You are give me like the itch. I really want to go. I really want to go visit. We're already booked for Niagara. We're going to be flying out in a couple of weeks to go spend 10 days in Niagara. But you guys are our next stop, that's for sure. Perfect. I love the style of your wine, Jürg. I love the work. I love the family story behind the whole domain. I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank your family for trusting us to work with your brand, because it's an absolute pleasure to feature to the whole Canadian wine lovers what you guys are doing. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carl. Thank you for what you are doing and for having us. It's an honor to be the first Nova Scotia winery in your program, and no, it's awesome. Thank you very much, and looking forward to welcoming you guys here in Nova Scotia. Sure.
I know Mira is probably looking for flight in August right now. Like I know her. Like when she looked down like that, sometimes she's on the airline website. But anyway.
After we go to Niagara, we just go there. It's always been my dream to go to Nova Scotia during lobster season. So I think we need to plan the next winery touring date for Carl's Wine Club.
And that's something I didn't mention yet, but I think our wines that we produce here, they're a beautiful pairing to our local seafood too, or to our local cuisine. So it's just a match made in heaven, I guess. But it's lobster, scallops, you name it. Like it's just a beautiful combination for sure.
It's so true. And I think that's the thing that I'm most excited about when we discover things in the club is thinking about the terroir around the winery, what grows well there, and how you compare that with that particular wine. Because that's what that's why I always ask Carl, how do you pair things? And Carl, that's what he told me. He said, I think about what grows well where that winery is located. Yeah. And usually that will pair well with the wine. As
an old man, a really smart man told me one day, my beginning of my fine dining career, he said, hey, look in Tuscany. Like they've been pairing fresh pasta with tomato sauce with Chianti for 30 years, for 300 years. Same thing they've been doing in the Rhone Valley with the duck and the Syrahs, and like all of these regional pairing were classic now in every table, like in every fine table around the world. So yeah, it's a pretty for me, it's a pretty straightforward process to say, hey, what they're growing in these regions, what they're serving, and which kind of wine they've been making around there, right?
Absolutely.
To you and your family, cheers. Thank you very much. Mira, thank you for hosting another great show tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you very much.
Jürg, we'll see you real soon. Hope you have a
good night, and say hi to everyone at Domaine de Grand Pré. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good night.
Cheers.
Good night.
Oh, that was so cool.
Kindness, just a good person. Just like, it's so cool. I love that. I just love it. Jürg Stutz, thank you so much.
Stutz, I think.
Stutz, yes.
You have to get the pronunciation, my French.
Yeah, I know. So what do you think? What was your favorite of all that?
Okay, so if I had to pick on the reds, it was the Milo.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I'm still mad. This was empty so quickly. there's a hole in that glass, you know?
Yeah, I know. Big problem here. We need to switch to our whole wine collection.
And then on the whites, I think it's L'Acadie that I enjoyed the most on the whites. They were all so enticing and exciting for summer to me. And especially because I love seafood in the summer and they pair so well.
Yeah.
And I've recently fallen in love with oysters, fresh shucked oysters. So I can just imagine all these wines with the fresh shucked oysters being.
You know which wish of these wine grew on me all week long? It's the Tidal Bay. The Tidal Bay at the beginning when I rated it, it was good, but I read it right after the Riesling, and I don't know. It's been growing on me all week long, and sorry.
Yeah, that one's.
I just killed it during the show, during the interview. I just destroyed it. Fantastic. I like the brightness. I like how the sweetness blend with the acid and the saltiness, just like bang on.
I agree. We took that one out to baseball last night. It was last night or the night before?
The night before.
The night before. We went to baseball and we had 4 of these wines out, and this one was the team's favorite.
Yeah. It was the T-baller's favorite. Yep, you got it right. So yeah, my phone is just about to die. My team at baseball is gonna wait for me in a few minutes because we're playing at 6:30. But Jürg Stutz. I hate that. Stutz. And the whole Stutz family, we are so grateful to have you on board. It's just so exciting to have Nova Scotia wine. And I think for all of our Canadian wine lovers who's been trusting us since the beginning, it's time to open your horizon. It's time to go and get some Nova Scotia wine. Get on it. It's just fantastic. Get a 6-pack of that. It's so worth it.
It's really worth it. It's one of those things that when you're having people over on the patio this summer, you pull out one of these from the fridge, and it is a really cool story to tell.
Absolutely.
And you know what? We've had people ordering them on Vancouver Island. So I can't, I hope you guys, if you're on Vancouver Island or wherever you are, you share your experiences with these wines. Maybe taste them side by side with your local wines.
And like Ortega is the best example. Ortega is one of the grape who grows a lot on Vancouver Island. Get a bottle of Ortega from Nova Scotia versus a bottle of Ortega from Vancouver Island. A real cool cross-country trip with the same grape. Really unique experience.
Yeah, totally. Well, Canadian wine lovers, hope that if you are anywhere near Niagara, you stop by our June 24th event with us and come winery touring if you can. It's a Thursday. I know Vicky was saying how sad she was. She can't come to that. She has to work that day. It's a Thursday. I know. But if there's any possible way that you can come out on a Thursday, we would love to see you. And it's going to be an epic day of winery touring. Epic evening that Friday night with the party.
And the vertical tasting with barrel tasting, it's going to be epic at the incredible setup at Pond View Bellaterra by the pond under the tent. It's going to be an absolute blast. Come and savor some wine with us. We're going to have Marcel just ordered a saber down there. So
did he really?
Yeah, he did. He just started it. So
a saber out there.
Yeah, so my phone's at 3%, so I'm going to lose connection in the very soon. So Canadian wine lover, Carl's Wine Club members, Mira Boucher.
Carl Boucher.
Thank you very much. Cheers, and see you next time.
Hope you have a great night, guys.